back with Green Mountain Mornings on WKBT 100.3 FM, AM 1490, Brattleboro's news talk station. 22 past the hour. I'm your host, Olga Peters, and welcome back to my guest, Chris Mays from The Reformer. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
And just an FYI, this segment is being filmed by Brattleboro Community Television. It will be up on their website later today, brattleboro.tv. And broadcast of Green Mountain Mornings tonight is sponsored by Brattleboro Savings and Loan. And what are you looking forward to in the select board meeting tonight?
I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna go and see what's going on. I know they're gonna appropriate a grant for wastewater improvements.
Yeah, and that's going to be about $2 million.
Yeah, a little more than that, but yeah,
2.3 million. Yeah. And that's actually pretty exciting because that was something that the board had submitted, or the town had submitted the grant application a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And the money, there just wasn't money in the fund, but the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation held on to the application, and when money came back to the fund, they passed it on.
Yeah, I think it was at the last meeting, board member John Allen said, "Oh, it's nice they do this retroactive thing, you know."
Mm-hmm. And so a few of the other things we're going to talk about is you have met the 13-year-old gubernatorial candidate, Ethan Sonborn.
Yep.
And what do you think? Does he have a good platform?
Oh yeah. He's really interested in improving healthcare in the state, and it was interesting to hear him talk first, and then the man who's trying to run against Peter Welch. It was interesting to hear how his tone was somewhat similar. Like he had the political thing down. You know, he knew his audience, and he was talking about all these issues, and a lot of them were similar issues. He's interested in keeping college kids in Vermont after they graduate, and yeah, he was really personable.
We may whether or not he wins, we will probably see him again.
Yeah,
sounds like we have a definite politician in the making.
Yeah, he said if he's if he doesn't get elected to governor, he's going to continue working as an advocate, and activist for the issues that he's feels strongly about.
Oh, good luck to him, definitely. And we'll talk more about this after the break, but it looks like there may be a coup happening at the Hermitage Club over in the Wilmington-Dover area. So, Chris, let's start with this possible takeover at the Hermitage Club. And for folks who may not be familiar with the Hermitage Club, it is basically a membership-only ski area in technically Dover, or is it Wilmington?
It's in Wilmington and Dover, technically, the mountain haystack.
That explains why I was confused. And some of the membership want to take over ownership. So tell us about that. How is that possible?
Yeah, the company has sort of been plagued by financial issues this last year or so. They kind of had a shortfall in revenue they attributed to a bad winter season, and I think it was 2014-15.
Mm-hmm.
And they also said they've been slow in getting members to join, and it all kind of goes back to state permitting delays. What they saw as state permitting delays, it was a master plan permit for Act 250, which is it was tedious. They had to do a lot of work to get it approved, and in the meantime, I think they thought they were going to get things done sooner than they did, and so about 5 months ago or so, they asked their members for an additional $10,000.
Right, kind of a one-time fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, they were asked for another $3,000 to make payroll, according to one of my sources. And so I think the members want to take it over. Right now, the majority of the company is owned by Jim Barnes. He founded it. He's the CEO. I'm gonna talk with spokeswoman from the Hermitage today, but she said it's not in danger. It's not closing. That's been one of the. If you live in the Deerfield Valley, all weekend people were talking about the Hermitage Club and what's going on there, and are the employees being paid? And so yeah, I've been trying to hunt down the answers, and it's yeah.
So, if the majority of the company, and it's technically a private company, correct?
Yeah.
How can the members take it over? Like it's not like they have a board of directors who can vote Jim off.
They did create a board of directors, but I think they want to buy it out from his ownership stake out from him.
Gotcha. Just a
Still
straight
getting
buyout.
the details on it, but yeah, that's what it kind of appears to be right now.
And how much do you happen to know of the Hermitage project is completed? Because he had a multi-phase plan for like a base lodge and then housing and then some other amenities. Do we know how many of those have been completed?
There are still a lot of projects that they want to do. There's a hotel. The local permit is about to expire, so they're going to have to go back and get it amended to extended. And there's a bunch of housing units that they're trying to build up there.
Right. That members would own and live in. And
Yeah. And there's some other improvements, I believe. Maybe it was snowmaking, but I can't recall them all right now. But it's part of the master plan is a 10-year plan.
Right.
And so they're only in, the first or second since they adopted it or had it approved.
Now, what about Barnes also at one point owned a number of buildings in downtown Wilmington. Are those part of the buyout as well, or?
I'm not sure. Right now, the Hermitage Club owns the White House Inn, and they. I don't think they own it, but they operate the Vermont. I forget what it's called. The Vermont House.
The Vermont House, yeah. My dad used to own that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they put people up in there, but I don't think they're the ones who own it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they have another inn and restaurant in Dover. And then they also have the Hermitage Inn, which is right near the mountain. It's on the mountain, actually.
Do we have a timeline for when this buyout may happen or not happen?
From what I understand, they're having a webinar this week, and then they're having a meeting on Sunday with the members again, and then I don't know when a sale might occur, but that's right now the only timeline I'm aware of.
Okay, well, look forward to seeing how this develops because that would be a big change. And then, of course, who would be the director and that type of things. Those governance is kind of the next question.
Yeah.
We touched base before the break. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to change gears. Sorry about that. We're going to stay in Dover. You did an article where you interviewed the Dover Economic Development Director.
That's right. Yep.
Steve Naracco?
Yes.
Did I say that right? What are some of Steve's plans for Dover?
Well, Steve was hired last summer, and so part of his work so far has been learning the community.
Okay.
And he's finding that people want to hold more events that bring people to Dover, and so there's been a group of inn owners who created this group called Dover Moto.
Yeah.
And they're going to have motorcycle related events and get people on motorcycles up here in the summer because Dover is known as a ski resort destination. People come up here skiing and snowboarding. They come mountain biking and hiking in the summer, but the traffic kind of dies down in the summer. So
Right.
I think there's some work being done now to get more visitors year round. There's some programs he wants to start. One is to give micro loans to new businesses or businesses who want to come to Dover.
Okay.
He's finding that it's kind of difficult to get people to. There's some people who are interested in coming, but they don't have a lot of vacant buildings. So new building is expensive. So he has some challenges there.
Well, because one thing Dover wants to do is diversify its economy, because right now it's mostly a service economy, which this is just my experience, but it looks really good on paper. Like a lot of tax revenue tends to go to the state. They contribute a lot to the state education fund, but yet a lot of the people who work the service jobs are working 3 or 4 jobs just to pay their rent. It's not necessarily a place where a lot of people are thriving economically.
Yeah. And one of the goals that kind of feeds into that is they want to improve broadband around the town. And they think that that might attract more businesses or companies to come to Dover.
And we are back with Green Mountain Mornings on WKVT 100.3 FM, AM 1490, Brattleboro's news talk station. I'm your host, Olga Peters. It is 39 minutes past the hour. And welcome back to my guest, Chris Mays from The Reformer. Hello, Chris.
Hey.
And so before the break, we were talking about Dover and economics and a possible buyout of the head of the Hermitage Club, or I should say the founder of the Hermitage Club. I want to switch gears a little bit to something we talked about at the very top of the hour. Ethan Sonborn, who is the 13-year-old running for governor.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about him. You said he kind of has the politics chops down.
Yeah. Well, he said his closest advisors are his age. They're in the 8th grade.
Okay.
And he's from Bristol. He says he has a couple adults helping out, but they're not part of the inner circle.
He even has the lingo down.
Yeah, so I guess he has people who help with the campaign, but then he also has the people who go, well, they help with the campaign too, but they're knocking on doors, they're making phone calls.
Kind of the canvassers.
Yeah. And he says he looks at it as a loophole in the Constitution. He found language that says you only have to be a resident for 4 years.
So it doesn't say anything about you have to be legally able to vote?
No.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, he calls it a loophole, and he's
exploiting it.
Yeah.
Did he talk to you at all about why he wants to be governor?
Yeah, he said it was really the violence that happened in Charlottesville that really inspired him to do this. He said when the president of the United States didn't denounce the killer of the young woman when he, hit her with a car, he said that just made him want to get involved. And he thought about being a state rep or something, but then he said, no, I'm going to go for governor when he found the loophole.
Okay. And has he served in any other official capacity at all, or any on town committees or at his school, anything like that?
No, but he says he's in talks with kids, other kids his age, about starting a political action committee.
Okay.
So I think you'll see him for years to come.
Yeah. What are some of the things about politics or policy that he's passionate about?
Healthcare. He wants to have a public option, and he wants to revamp Vermont Health Connect. And he's hopeful that there's a single payer option federally sooner than later. Yeah.
Were there other issues that he's passionate about?
He talked a lot about being an advocate for people's civil rights.
Okay.
That was something he was impassioned about. And like I said before, kind of the economic development side of things. He's interested in keeping young people, retaining young people in Vermont, all the college graduates and kids who go through the school systems here.
That's such an interesting conundrum, I think, about keeping Vermonters in Vermont. Because there was always, I don't know, when I was growing up, there was always this rite of passage that you were supposed to leave your hometown and then maybe you'd come back when you want to have kids or something like that. But as a young person in your 20s or early 30s, it was kind of the thing that you were supposed to leave the nest and go outside and find new horizons, um, which is valuable. But yes, we want to make sure that we keep our demographics healthy, which means we need young people. Did he touch base on anything like that?
No, I think I've heard that from economic development people. The people at Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation have said, a lot of people come back in their 30s to raise a family, but you're kind of losing people out of college until they can find, steady work here later on in life.
Right. That will actually support a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that.
But Ethan was actually, he talked to me before he met with Putney Huddle. Mm-hmm. But he was at the Putney Library to meet with Putney Huddle, which is a group that's really kind of focused on civil rights for people, and so he was really just addressing their questions and meeting with them. And he said he was meeting with groups around the state, and he wanted to meet with groups like that. He called them grassroots organizations because he wanted to learn what their feelings are and what their issues are, and so he's going around the state and trying to get a sense of what people are feeling.
And how long has he been working his campaign?
I think he announced in August he was going to be running. So okay. Yeah.
Well, like all the candidates, good luck to him. On the other end of the spectrum, we have someone just starting out. You wrote a piece about a Marlboro College professor, Bob Engle?
Yeah. He died in January.
Okay.
And I talked with a professor who worked with him and who was his student. And I talked with some other people. He was a mentor also to a kid through the Big Brother, Big Sisters program. And so I talked with that kid's mom, and she talked about his impact and how they stayed friends all through life. And he surprised the boy when he was a man and he was getting married. He surprised him in Arizona on his motorcycle.
Oh, fun!
He was really passionate about motorcycles. He wrote a column for the Reformer about motorcycles and life in general. It was kind of, imparting his wisdom. Mm-hmm. But he was a science teacher at the school. People just loved him.
And so it sounds like that's what he was the professor of, was science?
Yeah, biology. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long was he at Marlboro College?
I think it was 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he retired, I believe it was 2011. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what were some, you shared the memories about from the mentoree, I guess is the word we'd use. Were there other fond memories people had of him?
Yeah, I guess he was known for taking his students seriously, and him wanting them to take him seriously.
Okay.
But he was also known for going on field trips and doing practical jokes. One of the professors at Marlboro said people would sometimes go back to their tent and they'd find it filled with pine cones.
Oh no, that takes time and focus right there, gathering pine cones.
Yeah.
Well, I am glad that you were able to memorialize him.
Yeah.
For those who knew him. What about you mentioned something about speed skating happening in Brattleboro?
Yeah, it's actually wrapping up now, but all throughout the winter, Sunday mornings, there's speed skating. offered to people. And there's no price except the regular fee to use the rink, which is $4 for residents, $5 for non-residents.
Okay.
And there's a man there named Edwin, and he gives people pointers, and he organizes little relays or races, and he's really passionate about it. He grew up ice skating and speed skating in the Netherlands. And so I talked with him, and I talked about a family who has been doing it for 4 years and how they were inspired by the Olympics in Russia a few years ago.
Okay.
The son saw some videos, and he said, "I want to try that." And now the dad is almost more into it than his two kids. And,
no kidding.
And so they're watching the Olympics now, and it's just fun. The program isn't as big as it used to be. I guess there used to be probably 15 or 16 people. It's been going on for many years now.
Okay.
But it's kind of, there's not as many people involved now, but people are invited to join in.
And you mentioned the family. Mm-hmm. So, father and children. What were kind of the age ranges? Who was getting involved in this program?
I think it's kind of a younger crowd. I believe
because they're not afraid of falling and breaking anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the one kid was 9 and the other kid was 6. I'm not sure the other kids who go there because it varies from week to week, but it's a smaller group right now.
Were you ever into skating as a kid?
No, I spent all my winters snowboarding from when I was 10 years old.
I tried to get into skating and it just never took.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm a cross-country skiing kind of girl.
Cool.
Cool. Just laid back.
I skinned up Mount Snow for my first time last week.
Oh, yeah?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Well, when you have all that white stuff out there on the ground, you got to do something with it.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. Any things you'll be covering this week that people should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I'm excited to go to that opioid forum you were talking about earlier with Peter Welch at the retreat.
What time is that happening today?
11:30.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing more about that too. I won't be able to make it, so we shall have you report back.
Okay.
As always, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.